Hello kitties! This is part 2 of my one-sheet poster collection. For those of you who actually sat through the first part, thank you. Hope you understood it, maybe learned something. Rewatch it, didn't seem too incoherent, so... but in the first part I tried to cover a little bit of one-sheet history, and we're just going to kind of move on to the actual posters themselves and the images. And what I'm going to do is you're going to get to look at the poster. I might talk about the poster a little bit, and if I know anything about the movie I might talk about that too. How much I spent on any one particular poster is going to vary. It depends kind of how much I want to talk about it and maybe how much I know about it. But this particular one we're looking at now is The Sword and the Sorcerer. A lusty epic of revenge and magic, Dungeons and Dragons, wizards and witches, damsels in desire, and a warrior caught between. So this came out back in the 80s. There was a bunch of kind of sword and sandal type movies. Of course, there was Conan, the original Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's Beastmaster. And those type of films, I guess you maybe kind of throw Excalibur and Dragon Slayer and that stuff in there as well. And the Sword and Sorcerer came out as well. It had a decent budget, even though it was kind of a B movie, and it did fairly well at the box office. It actually kind of surprised the star. He started going to talk shows talking about it, and there's one interview, you might even be able to find it on YouTube, where he's talking about it. He's kind of said he was kind of surprised at the success of the movie because he thought the movie was kind of bad, and he starred in it. So, hey, but I personally, I kind of like the movie myself. Got a couple people to point out who starred in it. The main guy would be Richard Mole, who is best known as Bull from Night Court. But before he started doing that sitcom, he did a lot of B movies, a lot of horror movies. He's like 6'8", 6'9", shaven head, kind of an ugly mug. That made him a good candidate for the horror. Plus, he wasn't scared to be covered in makeup. Some people can't handle it. In this case, he had completely covered his face. He's also, he played in The House. There's another movie he had to don a lot of makeup. He's done some other B movie. He's in Dungeon Master, not as much makeup in there, but he plays the bad guy again. So even though he became beloved for Night Court, he actually played a lot of bad guys before that. Let's see. This actually says Style B, so there's another version of this poster. Richard Lynch, some of you, if you guys watch a lot of B movies through the 70s and 80s, Richard Lynch definitely popped up in a lot. And he's actually the main villain in the movie, not Richard Mole. He kind of plays a sub-villain, at least till the ending of the flick. But kind of cool. This is actually one of my first one-sheets I bought. And I can't remember, it's not quite the first. I think it's the second one I bought. Actually, I don't even have the first one in this collection. I don't even know what happened to it. It's packed up somewhere. Alright, we're going to kind of slide this over a little bit. One other thing I'm going to point out real quick is this actually has a name on it, which looks like Peter Andrews, who would be the guy who did the artwork. You don't normally see the person's name on the artwork. That doesn't come up a lot. These guys, commercial artists, and they would get hired to do this stuff, and a lot of times they didn't get credit. A lot of these poster art, no one might not even know who done the artwork anymore, because it gets lost. In this case, you happen to sign it. And that's not only true for posters, but there used to be a lot of men's magazines and stuff like that, and other kind of magazines that would hire artists. Of course, artists don't tend to get used for that kind of stuff anymore, but those kind of books and magazines don't really exist anymore. Same thing with doing artwork and posters. Basil Gogos is a rather famous example of an artist who's best known for doing famous monsters magazine covers. That's Sword the Sorcerer. So we're going to move on to Dark Crystal. Any of you children of the 80s should probably be a fan of this. Another World, Another Time, in the Age of Wonder. Of course, a Jim Henson movie. I guess, well, like I said, there's a lot of fantasy movies in the 80s, and this was a different one. Done mainly using puppets and animatronics. Very cool artwork. Of course, I liked the movie, loved it when I was a kid, still enjoyed the movie. I thought the artwork was great. And I got this poster for probably around 20 bucks. I don't remember the price of all the one-sheets I've bought. And this also has name. Amsel did the artwork for, apparently for the Dark Crystal here. Though I don't believe that's the person who did the conceptual drawings. Henson for this movie came up with the whole world before he came up with the story. Created all the characters and the looks and stuff, and he worked with an artist who drew everything for him. They came up with the story afterwards and fit the characters into it, which became kind of a big critical complaint because a lot of people, from a technical level, it was always applauded, but it got mixed reviews when it came out. So people loved the way it looked and the technical achievements, but they thought the story and the characters were weak. It didn't bother some, it did bother some others. It was a pretty big complaint from the critics. And there is, as of this moment, last I heard, I think, is it a sequel or prequel?
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel. They're going to do the movie. The prequel is going to combine CGI. They're going to have some puppet work, but there's going to be CGI combined in it as well. Anyways, that's the Dark Crystal. Time after time, imagine a scientific genius named H.G. Wells stalks a criminal genius named Jack the Ripper across time itself in the most ingenious thriller of our time. Sorry, Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen. 70s flick's got a bit of a cult appeal, kind of a sci-fi movie. H.G. Wells is a famous science fiction author, wrote The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, War of the Worlds. Of course, those have all been turned into movies long since then. This takes a little bit of a twist here. Malcolm McDowell plays H.G. Wells, but not as an author, but as a guy who actually, not as an author, a guy who wrote The Time Machine, but a guy who actually creates the Time Machine. And he showed it to a group of people. One of the guys steals the Time Machine and goes into the future. And then that person turns out to be Jack the Ripper. So I guess they was supposed to explain why Jack the Ripper disappeared, they couldn't be caught, and why the killing seemed to stop. He jumped into the future. Malcolm McDowell, as H.G. Wells, follows Jack the Ripper into the future to hunt him down. Eventually he's helped by Mary Steenburgen, who in real life, actually, McDowell and Steenburgen were married at one point for many years. They divorced, but though I think they are friends, they do have a friendship going today. One thing that always bothered me about this movie is, I don't see much of Jack the Ripper. Of course, you follow Malcolm McDowell, but it's kind of a fish out of water story. He's obviously in the wrong time period, so he doesn't understand what things are going on. But for some reason, when you see Jack the Ripper, even though he's from the same period as Wells, he has no problem adjusting. He fits right in. I never understood why he seems normal and H.G. Wells didn't. Anyways, I thought it was kind of a neat poster. This one, I do remember the price. I got it for $15. But, kind of cool imagery. Another thing you're going to notice, people, see this? Yeah, like them? Because that's all you're going to see of me, folks, the magic hands. If they need luck, my face will not appear in any video. Anyway, to help the cameraman out, I think I'll slide this over so we're not both slam across the wall. Plus, we'll cut down on shadows here. Battle Beyond Time, Beyond Space, we got Battle Beyond the Stars. As I mentioned in an earlier video, one sheets were 27 by 41. This one's actually a little bit smaller. There's no white border on it. It actually says one sheet. It's kind of funny. It came out in 1980. This was capitalizing on the Star Wars. A lot of cheap science fiction movies came out in the wake of Star Wars. And this is one of them. It's put out by Corman's company. Didn't direct it, produced it. Hopefully the guy Roger Corman, executive producer, King of the B movies, King of the Drive-In flicks, tons of movies. This was pretty cool. I watched it a lot when I was a kid. It was very well liked. The effects for like a cheapy flick were actually good for its day. And there was, of course, a sense of humor to it. If you look nicely at this area, the spaceship would appear to have breasts. That was actually intentional. People starred in it, Robert Vaughn's name, but we got George Peppard, which is this guy right here in art form. George Peppard, best known as Hannibal from the A-Team, the TV series. Doing a B-movie stint here. Sybil Danning's in here as well. The great John Saxon, he's in here. For horror fans, he played Nightmare on Elm Street. He played Nancy's father, the sheriff, but he's tons of movies to his credit. A lot of horror, a lot of B-movie. He is in Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee flick as well. And didn't know martial arts, he was a brown belt. But it was a cool little B-movie to stay. I haven't seen it in many years. I don't know how it holds up, but back in 1980 when it came out, yeah, it was a fairly enjoyable, fun flick with decent effects. Actually, I should point out the main star here, Richard Thomas. But I won't, because I feel like talking about him. Moving on. How much time we got left, you know? I only got a minute 41 seconds, so I don't know how much Close Encounters I get into here, but Close Encounters of the first kind, sighting of a UFO, Close Encounters of the second kind, physical evidence, Close Encounters of the third kind, contact. Steven Spielberg flick, it was his follow-up to Jaws. This movie actually cost a lot more than Jaws, a lot more time. One thing I want to point out, there's a couple different versions of this poster. The only difference is this one has an odd silver border to it. There's a silver border and the other one just has the 1-inch line. That's like the only difference. And for some reason, I don't know why this one has a silver. It also seems to be less desirable. The one with the silver border always seems to go for less money. But it did bother me to have the silver border, and I got it for cheaper, and I've long wanted this poster. Well, I'm probably going to cut it off. I think in the third part I'll talk a little bit more, because I want to talk about some childhood memories I have and why I like this poster. Then we'll follow up with another science fiction, Return of the Jedi is coming up next. But for our next series, I'll talk a little bit more about Close Encounters in this poster, and a little bit about the movie. Then we'll move on to Return of the Jedi. And it looks like more American Graffiti. Oh, and then we got a nice teenage jailbait, some exploitation coming up. And a couple more posters and we get into horror. See you guys later.